Hey, welcome to Ask Elihu. A question I get asked very frequently is, how can you tell what your edge is based on your closing value? And there's been a lot of discussion on that, and a lot of people get this wrong. Before we go into that, we're going to do a quick refresher on expected value. What is expected value? It's simply your win probability times the win amount minus the losing probability times the loss amount. So in an example where you bet $110 to win 100 and you believe you have a 54% chance of winning, your winning outcomes are going to net about $54. Your losing outcomes will lose about $50.60 for a net of $3.40. So your EV is a little over 3%. But the critical point is you have to know your true odds. If you don't know your true odds, you really can't estimate your edge. Now, if we're going to look at a match where the closing price was minus 110 both ways. What are the fair odds? And we don't know what the fair odds are. We can guess, but what are the fair odds that the home team wins? It could be as high as 52.4% based on the market. It could be as low as 47.6%. Both of those numbers are rational. Both of those could exist without sharp players punishing the book. Now the average is 50%. And if you know nothing else, the average is probably a pretty good guess, but you could still be way off. Now let's look at a situation where we have a little bit more information. The first thing we know is that a lot of sharp players are going to bet with an edge as low as 1%. So if you assume that someone might start firing in bets if the market is a 0.5% off, offering a 1% edge, we can make these ranges a little bit larger. For example, if the home team were going to win at 47.5%, so it's just a tiny bit of equity to bet the visitor, someone might not bet that. In fact, you might not see a bet come in until it gets as low as 47%. Similarly, you might have a home team that's 52.5%. Tiny edge, no one bets it. But if you get to 53%, someone's probably going to bet it. So if all we know is that the price range is minus 110, you can bound it. You can say the true odds are probably between 47 to 53. We're not sure, but it's very likely. Now, when someone observes a line move, you have new information. And it's not just that the numbers change; it's that the possible bounds change. In the case where the line moved from the home team from minus 110 to minus 120, is it rational that this price is only 50%? And the answer to that is no. We know if someone is betting at minus 110 and they're smart enough to bet enough to move the line. The sportsbook sees the bet, it respects the bet, no one opposes it. This number is probably higher than 52.4 for the home team. In fact, if we think the person is going to have at least a 1% edge, we can put a lower boundary of that home team winning at about 53%. So in the case where it opened minus 110 both ways and it closed 100 to 120, we know it could be as high as 55%. It's not going to be much more than that, or someone would hit the 120 again. How low could it be? Well, we know it has to be higher than 52.4 because it moved off of a 52.4% bet. So probably the lower end would be 52.9. 52.9 would be about the lowest that a real sharp player would hit it hard and forcing the sportsbook to move. So in this case, when it moved from minus 110 to minus 120, we can put a bounds of likely true odds at between 53 and 55%, and you could make a pretty good estimate that in this case you probably had a 54% chance of winning your bet. So if you bet at minus 110 and then you later saw the line move to 54%, you got over a 3% edge, and that's a really good bet. Now let's compare that to another case. The market is at it closes the same way. It closes home team minus 120, visitor plus 100. But you pick off a rogue book. You find a book that has the price at just 110. What is your equity? Well, in this case, we aren't able to bound the range of the home team winning any because we haven't seen a movement. So in this case, even though you're looking at an identical closer and an identical bet, here we can only guess that the average is about 52.4 and your bet has no equity. So understanding how the line move affects the closing value. It's not just your no-vig closing value. It's understanding how the line moved before you can actually estimate your true odds to measure your edge. If you have any questions, send me a note at Betting Talk, and I'll be happy to address them.